On this week's episode, Knives Out 2 slicing into movie theaters. The teaser trailer for the new Super Mario Bros. Movie has just dropped, starring Chris Pratt. We are reacting for the first time, an interview with local filmmaker Rob Levinson, and a couple TV and film reviews. For The Hub on Hollywood, I'm James.
I'm Jamie. Let's get at it.
Let's go. All right, Jamie, one big movie that I'm looking forward to coming out, originally that wasn't to come out on Netflix, still is, but Knives Out, Glass Onion, the sequel, a Knives Out mystery, is going to be released theatrically a week before it drops on Netflix.
Awesome. I think it's always a good strategy. I think it's always a good strategy to have a theatrical release first, especially with, that's the experience. That's the movie-going experience. I mean, I feel like the theaters would completely rebel if all of these amazing movies were completely skipping the theater. But the studios are still maximizing their profit because not only are they getting the theatrical release, but they're also getting the at-home streaming services. So I love watching the movies in the theater. I appreciate that you can have the option to have that experience. So I'm happy to hear it. We love Knives Out, the original, shot here in Massachusetts, starring Ana de Armas. I got to be her armas. Yeah. I know, bad joke, but I was her hands and her feet. I was her body double in that movie. And now we get to see the sequel with yet another incredible ensemble cast. And I am a tremendous fan of Rian Johnson, as anyone who knows me knows. But I think that the stories that he comes out with are so unique and original and so much fun in the perspective that he has. So I'm really looking forward to this. I have high expectations, James. Are they too high? Probably, but I am very much looking forward to it.
Yeah, this marks the first time a Netflix film is debuting across all major U.S. theatrical chains. That includes AMC, Regal, and Cinemark. I do think this is a really good idea. Create that buzz, get people into the, talking about it a week before it pops up on Netflix. Now, talking about, movies that are continuing, not only showing up in the movie theater, but also continuing in the production phase. One movie I'm really surprised that this is happening is Rust, the movie starring Alec Baldwin, a movie where a cinematographer, Helena Hutchins, was shot and killed by Baldwin accidentally when a prop gun went off. What are your thoughts on Rust resuming production?
Well, can you believe it? I would think if my main actor killed my cinematographer in the middle of a movie that I might not continue to film that movie. There have been lesser things that have happened that have shelved movies like that. But Hutchins's husband has actually signed on as an executive producer, so he has his full support for the continuation of this movie. So I think that there would probably be no other way that you would move forward unless you had the family's, full and complete support. And I would imagine that, your wife died for this, maybe not for this, just accidentally, but they are really determined in seeing this movie come to fruition. I have mixed feelings about it, James. I don't know that I would, keep going, but I don't know. What do you think? I'm on the fence.
Yeah, so Hutchins' husband, he said that, everyone believes her death was a terrible accident, and he's grateful that they've all come together to honor his wife's final work. But I thought this movie was never going to see the light of day. So I, too, am pretty surprised. And I'm not quite sure if people will want to go see it with everything that looms and hangs over it. Sure, there will be people who can put the incidents aside, but for, I think, everybody who may watch this movie, I think it's going to be very hard to disconnect Alec Baldwin's character with Alec Baldwin, the actor, and all the other actors on set, in the scenes. I just think that it's going to be too hard to suspend your disbelief in the characters.
Don't underestimate the power of morbid curiosity.
Yeah, I do think people will see it.
Yeah, especially for that scene in particular, which I hope that they must include.
Work around.
in the movie, right? I'm sure they reworked that in some way. But also, James, there's still a lot of litigation around this case as far as who's responsible for her death, and, was it the prop master, was it production, and who's responsible, and who's going to take the fall for that. Oof.
Yeah, a settlement
it just seems
has
like
been reached.
You wouldn't want to keep working on it. You wouldn't want to keep bringing that negative attention to the project.
Yeah, it's interesting because a settlement has been reached between the family and the production. However, the criminal investigation is still ongoing. And so, what happens if you continue the movie, you finish it in honor of Hutchins, but then what happens if Alec Baldwin or someone else gets charged, gets arrested, and this goes to trial? Like, does that postpone the movie? I just think there's so many things that can. Maybe this wasn't the best idea that makes it the best idea. So that's just me.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. It's cringeworthy at this point. So I understand the husband wanting to honor his wife's final project, but there's a lot of other factors there. So I don't know.
Yeah.
What do you guys think?
Yeah, let us know what you think down below. But also speaking about, letting bad things happen, the teaser trailer dropped for the Super Mario Brothers movie.
Why is it a bad thing?
Well, the fact that Chris Pratt is the voice of Mario, as soon as that announcement was made, everybody was, lighting their hair on fire. So I don't think a lot of people are a fan of the idea of Chris Pratt. Imagine Chris Pratt. You know who he is. You know his character. You know what what kind of movies he is. And now imagine him as Mario. That's the thing that a lot of people are. It's hard for them to accept or understand the reasoning behind it. But the official teaser trailer has dropped. This is the first time we're looking at the characters and hearing the voice of Chris Pratt's Mario. So I think we should just dive in and then we'll go over our thoughts afterwards.
Okay, all right.
Or even
I'm
during.
ready when you are.
So yeah, let's go in 3, 2, and 1.
Okay, some kind of molten ball has fallen from the sky. More molten balls.
Like a very Bowser thing.
Oh.
Oh wow. Got a Bowser spaceship.
That's a big flying Bowser.
Presumably coming after Princess Peach.
Very dramatic.
Oh wow.
It's like a flying island.
King of the Koopas.
Army of Koopas. Out walks Bowser, looking very much like the video game.
Open the gates.
Oh, I like his hair. Red and flowy.
All right, the penguins. Yes. This is excellent. Okay, I'm already being won over.
A little blue penguin army is now Oh, they're throwing snowballs.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Not effective.
Snowballs, no.
That is but a taste of our fury. Do you yield? I do not.
Oh,
Bowser
they're
very
destroying
menacing.
the ice castle.
I finally found it. Now
star.
who's gonna stop me?
Oh, here we
Here's
got
Mario in a field of mushrooms.
What is this place?
That mushroom, you'll die! Oh, I'm sorry. That one's perfectly fine. Come on, Mario!
Mushroom Kingdom, here we come!
Okay. The Super Mario Bros. Movie.
Luigi.
Here we gonna get some Luigi action in cinemas soon. So, first off, I think it looks really good. Looks just like the video games. All the characters there.
Good character design.
I love the Bowser invading the Penguin Land and the Penguins trying their best to defend and ward him off. But you just see the might and power of Bowser. There's like nothing. There's like no stopping him. So I like that.
Right. That was very cute. But what do you think of his voice? What do you think of Chris Pratt's voice as Mario? We got to hear it just a bit there.
Yeah, so I don't know. So my brain is just like turning into mush a little bit just because I've grown up playing Mario, Super Mario Brothers video games on N64, on Nintendo DS, and all around. So, Mario's voice it's like Darth Vader's voice. It's you know what it is. It's in my head, it's definitive. There's only one voice for it. There are many interpretations of it, but the voice is consistent, seemingly. So it is a little off-putting. Maybe that's the right or wrong word for this, but it's a little off-putting that I my brain wants to hear the original Mario voice, but Chris Pratt's voice popped out. Or am I thinking too much?
I mean, I think Chris Pratt did a really great job with the Lego movies, with all of them. And so, I mean, he's proven that he's got good voice acting chops. But I don't know if he's, I mean, I think I heard a little bit of like an Italian accent in there at the end, but I don't know. Very much on the fence. But, James, for me, I think the best Mario adaptation, and everybody's going to disagree with me on this, I really loved Super Mario Brothers 1993. And okay, so maybe you don't agree with that. John Leguizamo as Luigi.
You're in a very small club.
Bob Hoskins as Mario, and Luigi Mario. It was so dumb, but it was fun. It was dumb, but it was fun. And the characters were, I felt, believable to me, but, maybe I was just 10 and I didn't.
Yeah, it's like steampunk Mario, from what I remember. I've seen it a handful of times, and each time it never got better. So I have not seen it in years, but you are part of a very exclusive club, those who liked that movie. But let us know what you think, those listening and watching. Check out the Super Mario Brothers movie teaser trailer. Let us know what your first initial thoughts are to one, how it looks and how the plot may seem like it's developing into, and what are your thoughts on Chris Pratt's voice? Is it to him? Is he a Mario? Comment down below. We are on all the social medias, on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter @Hub on Hollywood. So give us a like, give us a follow on YouTube, and subscribe. And if you are listening to us on any of the major podcasting streaming services like iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, be sure to give us a 5-star review and send us some love.
That's right. And James, if you are on the Chris Pratt hating train,
we're
heading in that direction. We're going to continue in that direction, but more like, because he's Star-Lord, right?
Yeah.
In the MCU. And I think that Disney is just taking over. Is the issue whether or not we've got just too much Disney in our lives, whether it's MCU, whether it's Star Wars, whether it's everything else that they own and control and produce.
Yeah, an article came out by Caitlin Thomas with Paste Magazine, and she writes, as fun as it's been, it's time for Disney Plus to branch out from Marvel and Star Wars. She writes that Marvel and Star Wars nearly 3 years ago has been like the pinnacle, most important properties that Disney Plus has been identifying itself around and linking itself into these mega universes. And now it's raising the question, how long can this continue? How long can the company, which is experiencing slowed subscriber growth, rely predominantly on Marvel and Star Wars content to feed the hungry maw of its current subscribers? And so I'm kind of in the same boat, because when Thor: Love and Thunder came out. Now, I know that movie got released in theaters and not on Disney Plus, but just the Disney family and whatnot. But when Thor: Love and Thunder came out, I feel like I legit hit a wall, an invisible wall of like, I have reached the saturation point of how much Marvel I can intake. I was proven a little wrong with the introduction with She-Hulk. She-Hulk is surprisingly a really fun series, and so that I do enjoy. And of course, there are other connections to other characters, but it feels really standalone. I feel like I've hit the Marvel wall. I can feel the same thing happening. Maybe not with Star Wars as of this moment, just because I started watching Andor, and that feels very refreshing. So I'm in a mixed boat right now. What do you think? Are you feeling oversaturated?
I've got 2 points. I've got 2 thoughts on this. The first is slowed growth. I don't understand how companies expect to have exponential growth into perpetuity, like until they've eaten up the whole universe. Like there's this Twitter string of messages that I thought was really, really funny. It's like a timeline of what Disney does, in the past, the present, and in the future until they, acquire the whole world. It's like they buy out all of these companies, and then, Baby Yoda becomes an official religion, and then they, just take over the world. I mean, what is it that they expect? Like, why can't there just be a happy medium? Maybe I'm just not a business major, James, but you can't expect that kind of exponential growth into perpetuity. Just relax, man. Just chill. And the second thought that I had was, okay, the Star Wars shows are really great. I've been enjoying them. The Star Wars movies, trilogies, etc., mangled.
Yeah.
They were not good stewards of the last trilogy, and that worries me for the future. Any movies that they want to put together about the original, the saga, and continuing the original Skywalker saga. But I do feel like I'm hitting a Disney wall. I do feel like I'm hitting a Disney and MCU wall because everything is them, and I'm kind of tired of saying their name. Yeah. So we're kind of falling into the Disney trap. But I've recently taken a little bit of a break. I'm kind of trying to cleanse the palate a little bit.
Yeah.
And I've been, throwing myself into Asian dramas and whatnot, which we'll talk about in a little bit later in the show. But I do feel like I need to cleanse the palate. I need to take a little bit of a Disney break because it is a bit much, and it's new stuff, new content, of the same properties over and over and over. And to what extent, how long can you possibly milk it? I do not know.
I do agree. I do believe we do need to take a break from Disney. So we'll move on from this to let's say Black Panther. How about Wakanda Forever? And talk about the scenes that we've been seeing more of Boston and Cambridge being revealed in this new trailer.
Yes. Well, you know what? They do keep coming out with this kind of content. And I think there's no more popular hero in the MCU than Black Panther, than T'Challa, King T'Challa, and Chadwick Boseman's interpretation of that character. And unfortunately, with his passing, we are now going to be seeing a whole new Black Panther. I'm very curious to see the way that storyline is going to progress. I think with this last trailer, we got a glimpse of that. I think it's clear that the new Black Panther is going to be a woman. Mm-hmm. Is it Shuri? Is it, his queen? Who is it going to be? But the emotions in this are going to be, raw and real because that was, the real family of actors and colleagues there who lost Chadwick. So I just feel like it's going to be very emotional, and I hope that it honors his memory, and that it's well done. I hope that they've put every effort into making this as good as it possibly could be. But as you were mentioning, it was really great to see the scenes that were shot here in New England. There was a fight scene on a bridge, and parts that were shot in Worcester, in the last trailer. So that was very exciting.
Yeah, we did see one chase scene and a fight scene culminating on Massachusetts Avenue Bridge between Boston and Cambridge.
Yeah, Worcester and Boston, yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that was really cool. One thing that we did not see in the trailer but will be evidence in the film, according to director Ryan Coogler, is the plot of Boseman's death, or T'Challa's death, and its cinematography. So it looks like there will be an actual death scene for Black Panther. So that's gonna be interesting to see how they work that. But yeah, this is gonna be a very highly anticipated film. A lot of people are talking about it, especially over here in the Boston area. Everyone was well aware when and where the shooting and filming was taking place. So yeah, really looking forward to Black Panther: Wakanda Forever.
Wakanda Forever, man. We were so honored to have them here. We have a tremendous amount of local talent here in New England, filmmaking talent. We have so many projects that are currently filming that are very exciting, movies and TV shows. We will have a full list of current casting calls at the end of this episode, so please stick around for that, especially if you want to break into the field or even if you just want to spend one day on set. There's so many opportunities for every kind of person out there, and that's part of what we love to do here on the Hub on Hollywood, is get you on the silver screen, in the next Netflix series, hanging out in the next MCU or, Spider-Man movie or whatever the heck is filming here. Tons of exciting stuff. And, and speaking of those exciting things, James, and the amount of talent that we have here, we have a great interview that we were able to do with writer, director, producer, filmmaker, Rob Levinson, who talked to us about his work. He's a local boy growing up in New England, and he's got some great projects coming down the pipe. So without further ado, here's our conversation with Rob Levinson. All right, we want to welcome Rob Levinson, a local filmmaker, writer, director of Amityville, People of New York versus Ronald J. DeFeo Jr. You also have a company, Out of Time Pictures. We're so very happy you could join us on the Hub on Hollywood.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I really do appreciate it. Taking the time to talk with you people. It's wonderful. I love podcasts.
And podcasts love you, Rob.
Thanks.
So tell us a little bit about yourself, and it seems like you've done so much, and you've been in the filmmaking industry for a little bit. Tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got into it.
Yeah, sure. Well, I've been a lover of film since probably the age of 6. I still have this foggy memory of going to the movies around 5 or 6 to see a Mel Brooks movie called Young Frankenstein.
Nice.
And I'm not sure if you guys have seen it, but it's a classic. And I think from that moment on, like going to the movies with my parents, and then eventually when I got older with my friends, it became a staple of my life, movies or theater. I love plays as well. And, that led into me doing lots of theater when I was, a 10, 11-year-old kid. And from there, in my early 20s, doing some plays up in college. And then there was this gap, this like decade of nothingness where I was just busy with my life. And then in my 30s, I decided to start writing. And, I wrote a play and then subsequently wrote short plays. And I just kept writing throughout the 2000s, the early 2000s. And one of my short plays was selected to be part of a playwriting contest, and it won first place and subsequently was published in an anthology of plays. And then 7 years later, in 2017, I decided to become a filmmaker. So I went ahead and found some college students and who were filmmaking students, and we went out in the woods for 3 days and we filmed a movie called Outlaw, about the final hours of Jesse James's life. So here we have a 10-page script. It's a period piece. How am I going to accomplish this with almost no money? And that's always the task, trying to find money to do these things. So, but we did. We pulled it off, and the movie I think came out pretty good overall. And once the first movie came, it's sort of like you get bitten by this invisible bug, the filmmaking bug. And that's been the path I've been on for the last 5 years, just making films.
Yeah, Outlaw is one of, what is it, 5 projects that you have worked on or have finished or are currently working on right now, right?
Yeah, Outlaw was the first. Then I did 2 years later, I did a film called Where Were You, which received some positive attention. That was about 9/11, the morning of 9/11, and that won Audience Choice Award a couple of years ago at a film festival. And then after that, I flew to Ohio to do a movie called A World of Hurt, which also received some positive feedback. And then I did what's called a proof of concept. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that, but that's sort of like an extended movie trailer where you're trying to pitch your idea to investors or other filmmakers to get them excited about your project. So we did that. That was called Indescribable Urgencies. And then I did a film called Therapy, which was a fun short film I did with some of my friends. And here I am now working on Amityville, The People of New York versus Ronald J. DeFeo Jr. I know it's a mouthful of a title, but it is what it is in this case.
Great.
Yeah,
Tell us about it.
Sure.
So what is this story about? How did it come to be?
Yeah, it's a proof of concept as well, but a very long one. It's about 31 minutes long. So what happened from the time I was a kid, I enjoyed the original Amityville horror that many of us have seen, I'm sure, and always was fascinated about whether or not it was true or made up. And the fact that this house was not too far from where we are in New England, it always just was in the back of my mind somewhere. Once I became a writer, I just always wanted to tackle that subject. I just didn't know how to approach it because the quintessential movie, the Amityville Horror, had already been made. It was subsequently remade. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm not going to go down that path. So a couple of years ago, I came back, revisited the whole subject of Amityville, and I said, what better way to tell the story of Amityville but to really tell the truth? Nothing that is considered speculation, nothing that's controversial in the sense that, people are going to say, well, this is just another ripoff of the ghosts and the poltergeists and all of that stuff, the supernatural. So I wanted to avoid all of that. And that's what I've done here with the script I developed for it. It was based on true events, the actual trial of Ronald DeFeo Jr., the individual who was convicted of murdering his entire family in November of '74. And I said, well, okay, that's interesting. Trial films are pretty popular. They have been popular over the years. People like the courtroom dramas. But how could I make this a bit more interesting than just a courtroom drama? So I said, why not tell it from the perspective of the prosecutor of the case? This young prosecutor trying to make a name for himself. What better way than take on the most popular case, talked about case on the East Coast? So I started to develop a script based on his perspective of the trial, why he wanted the trial, and how he built his case on the evidence that was collected at the crime scene, and then the subsequent witnesses that he found that could testify, and just the turmoil that it may or may not have brought on his personal life, and that's where things become a little bit embellished, because I don't know who this prosecutor was on a personal level. And I decided to take some creative liberties, as most writers do when developing a screenplay. And that is what we have here. And that is what we are presenting with our proof of concept, sort of a what if scenario mixed with actual facts of the case.
Yeah, because there are many different types of theories regarding that case, from, as you mentioned, the ghost or poltergeist kind of angle, to people thinking there's a mafia connection. In the film, does that come up, like these wild theories that may prove this DeFeo innocent or guilty, that you kind of have to address or anything like that?
Yeah, a bit. We touch upon the possible mob involvement in wiping out this family, but we don't ever go down the path of supernatural. It's not even mentioned in this proof of concept. Will it be if I ever get to make this into a feature film? Will that part of it come into play? Possibly, but it in the most minute kind of way. Certainly not in showing anything like you would have seen in previous films where they really went full throttle with showing, the voices, hearing voices, and, doors closing and windows exploding. Nothing like that. Because personally, I don't believe any of the stories that came after the murders, with the second family that moved into the house, which the Amityville horror is based upon. I don't believe any of it, to be quite honest. So I don't want to even venture into that territory. So I think we have enough with the source material of the actual story. Ronald DeFeo was an interesting character. He was very well known in that town. He was one of the barflies at Henry's bar, and he was well known, not for good reasons.
Oh boy. Well, I just think it's fascinating that, you're a New England boy who's now putting together this story, this very famous, New England-based story. Talk to us a little bit about, making movies here versus, Hollywood or New York. And, what does New England have to offer? It seems like there's a lot of opportunity.
Well, yes, there are. I mean, getting into this about 5 years back, I was amazed by the amount of talent we have here with cinematographers, with actors. There are just so many talented people in New England that it doesn't make sense to go somewhere else. And I'm very happy with the people I've worked with on many of my films. Some of them I've worked together on a couple of different films. You tend to like to work with the same people. I like to meet new people, but there are a few relationships that I've held on to with actors and cinematographers. And I think New England filmmaking is a hot commodity. I mean, even Hollywood is coming out here. I know they filmed Fletch about a year ago over here, which is coming out soon. A lot of people I know were extras on that or worked on the crew. They filmed that Hocus Pocus movie out here in Rhode Island, not too far from my house. So it's like Hollywood is coming here. I don't know if it's because of the tax incentives in Rhode Island or, probably that's it. It always comes down to money, regardless of whether or not you're working on a multi-million-dollar project or, one that costs $5,000. So we are here, and I think people throughout the rest of the country know that New England is a hub for filmmaking. Right now, I have to focus all my attention. We have a premiere that's coming up October 22nd at the Elm Draught House Cinema in Millbury, Massachusetts, from noon to 4. And I'd like to talk about that day, because that's a day I've been planning now since July. And not only my film, my proof of concept will be shown, but I'm sharing the day with 7 other filmmakers who I've invited to be a part of this film festival that we're throwing. And we have so many good films from different filmmakers, and people should definitely come out and support not just me, but these other filmmakers who are from this area. Michael Gonza, who has a movie called Room Service, a short film which is fantastic. I've actually watched it. What I say to people is, if you don't like one movie, stand by, because there's something else coming up that you probably will like. We have movies here that fit every genre, from the dramatic to to the comedy and a little horror here and there, nothing over the top crazy. But it's going to be a fun day, and tickets are only $15 to get in. You get to see 7 films, which is amazing, I think.
And what's the website for that?
Well, if they go to the Amityville, The People of New York versus Ronald J. DeFeo Jr., they'll see an event page where they can click on it. There's a link for tickets. Or, if they go to Out of Time Pictures on Facebook, which, anyone could go to, they'll see a link there as well. and or you could buy tickets at the door. It's we haven't sold out yet, but people should definitely come on the 22nd if it's not sold out, and get a ticket and hang out with us. And we'll be taking pictures. We have a photographer there. It's going to be a good time.
Well, your passion is like very readily apparent.
Yes.
We're looking forward to hearing more about you and your projects.
Sure.
So one last time, plug yourself, where people can
Sure.
find you and your work.
Yeah, I think Facebook right now is the greatest tool I have. I have a website, outoftimepictures.com. The best place to reach me is on Facebook, and so people can learn more about my films and look for future projects. I have another script I'm developing right now, but I can't start writing it until I finish this.
Perfect. Rob Levinson, thank you so much for joining us on the Hub on Hollywood. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.
And once again, a big thank you to Rob Levinson for joining us on the Hub on Hollywood. Now, Jamie, let's get into some of our reviews of what we've watched recently. Some that may bring a smile to your face. Others may bring a look of horror and despair. So let me start with the review of Smile. Smile, this came out in theaters last week and is already getting a lot of really great buzz. This stars Sosie Bacon, the daughter of actors Kevin Bacon and Kyra Sedgwick. Sosie Bacon, she plays a therapist named Rose Cotter, who after witnessing a very traumatic suicide involving a patient, she starts experiencing terrifying and unnerving things that she cannot explain. So she must confront her troubling past in order to survive some sort of supernatural tormentor. And let me just say, this is a really good horror movie. This movie is scary, but more than anything, it's unnerving. Like, it really gives you the creep feeling, especially since people in this film who are possessed by this tormentor, this thing, they smile in a very unsettling way, in a very inhuman, unnatural way. Though it may hit on many tropes of the horror genre, it does it in new and surprising ways, and a really good use of jump scares, because they were done in a very surprisingly fresh and unexpected way. Though there could have been a bit less jump scares, I felt like the jump scares that did land in this film were done in unique, creative ways that they worked and they landed. So this movie, as I was watching it, there are moments where I'm like, okay, this, the tension's building, a monster or something's going to happen right now. And then it doesn't happen. And then it doesn't happen. And then it doesn't happen. And then you go on to the next scene, like, okay, things have kind of reset, and then it happens. And so this movie keeps you on your toes. As a big fan of horror movies, I appreciate the fresh take on the genre for this film. I would say that one downside or the weak part of this film would be the side characters, in particular the actors who, not to call out bad performances, but I feel like the actor who portrayed Rose's fiance, I just don't think that he was very written well in a very realistic way. I thought he just felt very kind of cliche boyfriend who doesn't believe or trust his fiance, and is kind of like just a jerk for no real reason. So other than that, I think Sosie Bacon does an incredible job balancing the fine line of going over the top with the horror theatrics, but doing it in such a controlled way, if that makes sense, where you're just captivated by her performance. Like, this is her movie. This is her time to shine. And so Kevin Bacon, great job raising a very talented daughter. Awesome. So I recommend Smile. I think it'll leave you with a killer smile on your face.
Oh, look at that. Well, I gotta say, I watched the trailer, and the trailer surprised me in a way that I've never seen in a horror movie before, or in a trailer before. And so, yeah, I think like you said, you nailed it. Like, taking advantage of the no tension moments, the parts where you don't expect anything to happen. That's awesome. That's really, really cool. And I don't like horror movies that much, but this one actually makes me kind of excited for it. So my husband might be able to get me to go and watch this one with him. But, oh, gosh, it was, just the very end of the trailer. I don't want to give anything away, But there was just this like, holy crap, I've never seen that before. So I'm looking forward to seeing this one.
Yeah, it's scary, but if anything, it's very unnerving and very unsettling, and that gives you like the cringe, like in your seats kind of feeling. It's a fun ride. It's a fun ride.
Yeah, and you know what's fun about going to a horror movie, like, with your loved one, is you get to have those romantic moments. It's like, oh, the girl, like, clings on to you or whatever.
Do you cling on to your husband?
Yeah, horror leading into romance, except, okay, if I may, when we go to, like, haunted houses and stuff, I cannot go with him, okay? Because he throws me at the monsters, and then he runs away. Like, he's like, here, take her.
He's like, I'll watch the children.
Not romantic. But anyways, it can be romantic at the movies. So leading from horror smiles into romantic smiles, I am watching a show on Netflix called Falling Into Your Smile. Because I'm on my Asian drama kick, this is another Chinese drama from 2021. It's available on Netflix, and it follows this professional esports team. Do you know what esports is, James?
Esports, yeah, like entertainment, like electronic sports.
Well, yeah, like video games.
Yeah.
Like professional video game players and all of that. So it follows this all-male team, ZGDX, and this girl whose handle is Smiling. Her name is Smiling. But her name is Tang Yao, and she becomes the very first female professional esports player. And it follows her journey, not only trying to fit in this male-dominated sport. It has the romantic twist where the team captain falls in love with her, and it has that beautiful, long, drawn out, like, romantic tension. And you get to see, this very stoic person who's actually kind of silly and, I guess naughty is the word, but not in that way, like not in a sexual way. It's like he's just like a boy who likes to play pranks or whatever. I don't know. So I think that there are romantic tropes here, but there are other cliches that are missing, and that was nice. That was nice that I think some of the more sexist cliches are not there. And I think that, being a more modern Asian drama or Chinese drama, that they kind of make fun of themselves. They kind of poke fun at themselves, and they poke fun at some of the traditional tropes. And so in that way, it feels a little bit fresher because they skip some of the more ridiculous things. And it feels like a more realistic romance and a more modern romance. So I really enjoy that. But also, besides the little bit of nationalistic propaganda that you can get in any
you gotta have that in there
in any Chinese media, you get a look at the Chinese legal system and you get a look at kind of what happens with the bad fans. Because yes, you've got your fans, but then you've got the overly obsessive, aggressive female fans, and how that really takes a toll on this fledgling relationship. So it just feels very grounded. It feels very realistic. And you get a look at, you really feel the pressure and the strain of their fame, their popularity, their fans, and all of those things that are kind of pulling them apart in a realistic way. So I really, really enjoyed it. It's called Falling Into Your Smile on Netflix, Chinese drama, but a really refreshing, modern, romantic story that takes place in the world of esports. So I give it 9 out of 10 shirtless Kylo Rens.
No, that's excellent. Yeah, I'm looking at reviews right now, and out of over 18,000 ratings, it has a 5-star rating.
Yeah, it was great. It was really, really great. So, highly recommend it.
Excellent, excellent. Well, I should probably check that out. I need to expand my
Your repertoire, yeah.
Exactly. Thank you. So no, I'll definitely look into that a little more. I'll look at the trailer first and see if that piques my interest a bit more. But for those of you listening and watching, what are you watching right now? Let us know what you are currently hooked on. Are you also very excited to see Chris Pratt in the new Super Mario Brothers movie? What are your thoughts on Black Panther? Be sure to follow us again on all the social medias at Hub on Hollywood. Give us a great review on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, and be sure to like, subscribe, and everything else in between.
We'll have a good time. We'll have a good time in the comments. James and I are hanging. We've got nothing else to do, right, James? We got nothing to do with our lives.
Yeah, and you know what? Because we have nothing to do after this show, we will give you the latest casting calls for the Hub on Hollywood. I'm James.
I'm Jamie. We'll see you next week. Stick around for those casting calls.
Bye.
All right, James, and welcome people who have stuck around with us. To this point, you are going to be a star. We are going to make you a star. Here are the projects that are currently casting and looking for people right now. So, Slate Casting, they are looking for SAG-AFTRA women in ages 25 to 40. So these are union women ages 25 to 40 for a project that shoots mid-October in Wellesley. This pays really well. So if you are interested and fully available, basically there's no restriction here. If you're a woman between 25 and 40 and you're a SAG member, slatecastingextras@gmail.com. Send your full name, phone number, email address, a few current photos, the city and state that you live in, and your SAG ID number to be considered for this project.
All right, Boston Casting is asking you to put on your roller skates. They're looking for roller skaters for a commercial. Anybody over 18 and up, they're looking for someone for this non-union gig that shoots on October 15th and pays $250 for a full day just to skate around. You know, if you do own your own skates, it's a plus. I'm pretty sure if you don't have any, they will provide you with some. But if you know how to skate, submit your resume, cell phone, current photo of yourself, and your roller skating experience to Boston Casting Submit 2 with the number 2, Boston Casting Submit 2 @gmail.com. In the subject line, put roller skater / your name.
Awesome. And Boston Casting is working on so many projects right now. James, they're doing season 2 of Julia. They're working on a film called The Collaboration, an Untitled Novelist project. Those are all feature films that they are constantly looking for people for right now. So you're going to want to go ahead and go to bostoncasting.com, sign up there, put in your information to get the free emails and notifications for when they need background for those projects. They are also looking for, Boston Casting is also looking for specifically Black women with braids or dreadlocks between the ages of 35 and 50. This is non-union, and they're looking for dark or gray hair. It shoots October 19th, pays $1,000. That's pretty nice. You're going to want to go ahead and submit to Boston Casting headshot and resume @gmail.com. Include your contact information, current photos, and a bio. In the subject line, write Black women braids / dreadlocks and your name.
Okay, Slate Casting looking for athletic women for a sports ad. This is a non-union gig for women between 18 and 25 years old that shoots on October 10th in the Boston area. Also pays $250 for 5 hours. If you are interested and female athletes between 18 and 25, send your information to Slate Self Tape 3, the number 3, slateselftape3 @gmail.com with your full name, phone number, email address, 2 current photos of yourself, 1 close-up, 1 full length, and where you live and which sports you may have played during that time. Please put sports ad extra in subject line. The deadline to file is coming up very soon, so send that ASAP.
All right, and last one for me, James. Boston Casting is also looking for hand models, ages 35 to 50, non-union, for a commercial that shoots October 19th. The pay is $500. You are going to want to send your contact information, current photo and bio, photos of your hands front and back, and the subject line should say hand models with your name. Please submit that to Boston Casting Headshot and Resume at gmail.com.
As a hand double, do you have any tips for anybody wanting to become a hand model?
As Anna de Armas's hand double in Knives Out, James, very clear pictures, okay? Clear pictures, well lighted, nothing else in the picture but your hands. So a dark surface is nice. No other clutter in the picture, front and back. And, just be as clear as possible and give them everything that they are asking for. And then, if you are the right fit, you will get it.
Perfect fit like a glove, would you say?
Exactly.
Excellent. Well, that's all our casting calls for this week. Thank you so much for sticking around. What is this, the after show? The after casting party?
This is the casting after show.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening to the Hub on Hollywood, and we will see you next week.
Bye.